There you go. That's better. Helps if you don't mute the microphone between streams. Okay. Morning, Doctor. Morning, Moonline. So, hey, Sixon. How you doing? So, as much as I need to of today's stream is going to be dedicated to trying to figure out how to make persistent volumes work better. I think I've got into a pattern that is probably getting me in trouble now, in that I'm kind of just repeating the same things I see over and over. So understanding what storage I need, how it's configured, how it retains the storage is going to be necessary. Reason being, that should be that and that. They should all be available. I need to retain information between restarts. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep ending up having to recreate everything over and over and over again. I got into a mess with Kafka yesterday. So I just brought everything down yesterday and thought, you know what, I'm going to make sure I can bring it up and down before I actually say everyone can use it freely, because otherwise I'm going to get in a mess. So identity server and OpenID Connect, which would you recommend? I have not got enough experience of either of them to really give you any sort of direction other than what do you need. I tend to avoid messing around with identity servers unless I absolutely need to implement something. So for this project, I use Auth0, so I don't have to mess with that. But it depends on what your needs are. Like, I don't like implementing Auth at all. And to really understand the challenges, you're going to have to dig deep enough into each one to understand the differences. Again, I haven't played enough with the libraries. I thought identity server had been yeah, Duende. Yeah, that's the I knew it went behind a paid version. Duende server. Yeah, for good or bad, I've not had to experience much about identity server, so I've not really dug deep into the weeds there. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I am trying to figure out what I'm missing about configuration. I figured I'd start with Pulumi because Pulumi is pretty much the most simple one. If I bring it up and add the configuration for Kafka, I bring it down, I bring it up, I should still see the configuration for Kafka. Everything's set to retain, but I'm validating that I'm retaining the right thing, right? So it's console data, etc console config, and etc TLS for the certs that it creates. Now, what I'm looking at is here's a console and Kubernetes. Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. Morning, daughter. I said morning dodge already. So I'm just trying to validate what I need to make sure this retains between restarts. Because if I can get this kind of configured, then we are. That's what I'm missing. That's the piece. Because if I look at this one, I do this agent command. But on Kubernetes, I'm not doing the agent command. Is that the problem? Well, if you link to it, you want me to read it, I'll read it too. So we have, guys, it's okay. It's people scraping ice. Hey, hey, it's all good. Good boy. Good boy. Come on, come lay down. Come lay down. So let's have a look. Let's see if there's args. There you go. That's the one. That'd be agent, comma. Let's see. Yeah, that causes a problem. I think to you guys before I release it to the masses, which might be one to two. It only takes one article for people to pay more attention to, right? It's not. If you want them shared, keep sharing. Let's see if this works. The annoying speck on the glasses that's reflecting in the light. So I don't want to be doing this, right? But I've been trying to do this since last night. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm not just trying to jam solutions in. The reason I need this to retain is so that when I restart, when I bring the system down to maintain it, to add new stuff, to fix things, that if I've asked, if I've got people who have logged into the application and created data, that I don't just wipe out their data every time or wipe out the Kafka queues, the topics, because I want the topics to retain. Because then, if I bring other pieces up, they'll consume the messages and build. So. Got to move Discord off the screen before. There you go. It's failing, and it's failing probably because of those commands. Which piece? Looking at stats. So when I configure this, I do data console config. What I'm struggling with here right now is there's varying, like this works, right, on my machine. So let's take that away. Put Google Analytics on the blog. Might be a good idea for Liquid Sky. Yeah, we'll do an entire pass of of that sort of stuff. I want to go through open telemetry. you know, what is the telemetry? What sort of logging do I need? And then what sort of information do I need to track and understand? Yeah. Server UI. Advertise, Bootstrap expect. Expect 1. That's the config file mentioned there. But that's not got etc, that's just got /console. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's bring it up again. Blew me down, that's why. So yeah, I'm not trying to make this dull and about, you know, like just bringing configuration files, but if I don't stabilize this and learn these things now, it's going to get messier and messier. And I'm going to be more scared to restart the system because I'm going to be scared of losing data. And when I've asked people to start using it a little bit, if they actually do start to use it for some actual stuff, then they should rely on it being there at a certain point. Because throughout this process, we're going to learn more about what we need to back up, how we do the backups, how we do the restores, what the system looks like if we wipe it out and rebuild it. Can we rebuild it? You know, how much effort does that take? And keep practicing that story because, you know, once the system goes into production, you rush those things more than ever. At least if they're practiced and drilled. It's why DR failover drills are they are painful, but they should be done so that you consistently understand. What is that one? Console. Service and stateful set. That's that one, right? And stateful set. What are you? I have no encryption key. What am I doing? That's probably why. I would bet that is because I have no lifecycle, pre-stop. So many things to learn. There you go, see. Name, environment, gossip, encryption key. Encryption is not something that I really need to worry about right this second. You are not. Again, if this goes into full production, this would have a way more detailed passive DevOps. We'll see how that goes. So what I've done here is I've actually commented out all the other stuff, right? So I've made sure I'm just worrying about console right now, so I can bring it up and down. With the Kafka pieces, what I've tried to do as well is retain Zookeeper configuration as well. So I'm ending up in this world where I'm creating a lot of different storage pieces, which may or may not bite me. There's plenty of storage on the machine. It's not like I'm worried about that, but oh, you do not like that, do you? What don't you like? You're not gonna give me any logging at all. Okay. Let's do the bare minimum. Pulling me down. Why? That should work because if it's generally if it's a YAML file, it can convert pretty clearly to Pulumi. Let's see. Oh, the one place I didn't check there was the logs. So my sincere hope is what happens is here I get a breakthrough, it makes sense, I get it fixed, I get it moved on, I get to the Kafka piece. This gives me insights into the pieces I'm missing in Kafka. I can stop and start Kafka and Pulumi repeatedly, have them come up, have them populate the topics so that there's no question about whether the topics are being retained. And then once that's working, then I can bring the rest of the system up and we can start to play with the system. I say play. That's probably not the best choice of words there. Okay, so that's running. Okay. Let's do this. So now if we go over here and start this one, so that's allowing me to port forward to console here. So this is the console instance. What I'm looking for here is when I save this and stop the instance, when I bring it back up, that configuration is still there. That's what matters more than anything, because I need to be able to continually reboot this. The first time the system comes up, it's going to be missing. Sorry, I'm just making sure I have this. It's going to be missing. And everything's going to go, wah. But then subsequent restarts shouldn't mean that my nodes are broken. Okay, so that's been saved, right? DC1. Okay. So let me, before I shut it down, let's go and see if we can have a look at some of the files. So etc console is not there. So console is there. Config ls cd data ls cat server metadata. There's nothing stored there. There is no console directory there. CD. So where is that stored is the question. I mean, I don't expect it to be free text, but this one survives a restart, I believe. Console config certs. See, that makes it read-only as well, so... How does that even save? Maybe it doesn't. This demonstration, this one, maps etc console config, which isn't a thing, and etc TLS and console data. Although that can be... That's a volume, not a volume claim template, so... Whereas I've made it a volume claim template. Config file. That's the difference. No, that's fine. Let's do that again. Let's stop that. Pull me down, -y. So I'm going to bring it down and bring it all back up again just to see if that retained in any way, shape, or form. Essentially, on the host machine here, yeah, see, it retains that. Sudo cat. Yeah, so that's that. So it has retained that, and there was nothing in config. So I don't expect this to be there. So I've got to figure out where that key value store is held, and map a directory for storing that so that I can not lose that between restarts. Should come up okay. There's the pod. Everything came back up again. Nothing looks like it's erroring. Let's say okay. Oh, it saved it. There you go. It's there. So overall, what I changed there was I mounted volumes. Probably don't need the certs one now. Well, let's not get upset over that. The main thing there is that the stuff is there. So that should be, basically I should be able to go here and see the same thing. CD certs, ls, CD secrets, okay. Okay. By the way, that one's up and running, so I'll pull Lumi down, that's why. Let's not have an issue with that one now. Let's worry about Kafka. Okay, so Kafka. The thing I'm struggling with here is that when it restarts, the cluster ID is different. So it's not retaining that, or it's not loading that configuration up, which means that it thinks it's different and it fails, right? So because it's got a cluster ID there, but it's starting up and it's got a different cluster ID, it's not reloading that, as far as I understand it. So I believe this is a Kafka issue, not a retention issue. So what I've done is I've created broker storage and zookeeper storage. In the zookeeper, I pass the storage into the zookeeper, and there's the zookeeper storage passed into the zookeeper, and that's just a dictionary of persistent volume claims. That was recommended from somewhere, basically to make sure I retain the volumes between deletes and scale ups and scale downs. So I've added the Zookeeper storage, varlib Zookeeper, and etc Zookeeper. But if I now do Pulumi up on this, I mean, I'm itching to get back into feature dev on this application. Like, I really do hope that going into January we have some more development done. I don't have much time off over the next 2 weeks, so not a lot going to happen there. Okay, so that's come up, but what we'll see is this is erroring, and it's erroring because it's throwing this exiting Kafka due to fatal exception during startup, invalid cluster ID in varlib Kafka data meta properties, right? So that is on the broker side. Varlib Kafka, hold on, that was Kafka data, right? That was Kafka data. Yeah, Kafka data meta properties. So if we go over to our directory over here, cd dot cd Kafka, cd data, so cat meta dot properties. So there was a suggestion to basically hard code this to a config map. So that it's not being reclaimed, because that's being established the first time it runs, and then the next time it runs, it gets a different cluster ID. It's not retaining that. So there was a suggestion of using config. Now, that being said, the Zookeeper is fine, but the Zookeeper was always fine. I'm not sure Zookeeper is using the same design. So if I go to cd Zookeeper data ls, like, I'm not sure I need to worry too much about retaining Zookeeper, because again, most of Kafka works off the brokers anyway. So I'm going to focus my energy on the broker rather than the Zookeeper at this point. So again, there was a suggestion that and I've got to try and find that now, I suppose. Was it in let's have a look. KS stateful set headless KS Kafka retain meta.properties. So what we could do is use so I can't remember where I saw it, but basically use a config map to store the meta properties, so that file, when it's created, is basically what we do is we do a volume mount And that volume mount is mount path varlib Kafka data that, and then there's a way of mount coming from a mount. How do we do it? We do this somewhere else. So essentially we're using a volume mount to mount that file specifically. I can't remember where else I do that. The SQL Server. I've started breaking out the storage requirements from the actual construction just to try and help a little bit there. It's got to remember where else I do this. Not gateway. Here we go. Volume mounts. Mount path. Subpath. Let me do okay, that's how we do it. So we set set up a volume. And that's meta properties. We need a config map. The config map is going to API. So this is going to be Kafka meta properties. And then that's going to be wrong. That needs to change. But because I only have one broker, that's not a problem. It will be a problem later. Yeah, there we go. And then this is going to be meta properties. Am I remembering that file correctly? Yeah, meta.properties. And that's going to come from broker meta. Hi, Junikas. How you doing? We're going to copy. And then config map. Super good. Nice. Good to hear it. Good to hear it. And that's going to be something similar to that. That's going to be infrastructure, Kafka, meta.properties. And meet properties, meta properties. So the meta properties then is going to get used in the here meta.properties. That's that. And then we apply that. You're not erroring, are you? And then we basically use that in our volume mounts, where we set up a volume mount for that in here. Method properties. And that's going to be mount path is var lib Kafka data method.properties. That's going to be properties. That's going to be read only. What's the worst that happens? Pulling me down. That's why. So what I'm doing is I'm taking control of that file and making sure that it doesn't get regenerated when I restart, basically, and saying, okay, it's going to be there available for reading when the cluster starts. The cluster then should retain the same identifier every time. Now, if I wanted to, I could generate that myself randomly or whatever, I assume. Where is there an error? That's telling me there's an error, but I don't see an error. Let's see. So again, if I get this working, then I have the ability to retain configuration, so I can bring up and down Kafka with the config map working, the config in console being retained between restarts. I can bring it up and down and not lose all the messages. So here's hoping. Let's see if this works. Now it should be okay. It shouldn't try and recreate that because the file's there, and I've marked it as read only. Worst nightmare is if it fails to. It failed. Running program unable to compile. Ah, so there is an error. Line 45 in broker. There you go. Okay. Parent namespace depends on service. Now that depends on config map as well as service. Trying to get the order of things started. This is frustrating because I'm so close to being to a point where it is usable. I want to have the trust. Like I said yesterday, the hard part will be trying to use the application to build the application when I'm tracking bugs, because I don't have bug tracking, so I'm gonna have to create a different list for bugs or make them features. I suppose it could just become tasks. That's why I'm doing it. Fail create. Oh, awesome. Why did you fail create? Kafka broker. Invalid spec containers volume mounts name not found method of properties. So where are you? Meta dot properties. Blew me down. Where are you running the kit? Is it? It is on a little mini PC behind me right now. My intention is to use 2 mini PCs and try and build out an actual little cluster, or build a few of my spare PCs up to run the initial versions. So yeah, right now it's a little AMD B-Link. What is this one? SER 6, I think. I think I've got a SER 5 and a SER series, I suppose is the actual name. SER 6. Yeah. No, I do not have that. That's showing dual. Maybe it is. I don't believe this has dual gigabit. But yeah, on one of them. So it's a 1600HX with a terabyte SSD, but I'm sure there's 32 gig in this. Yeah, there is. There's 32 gig. That spec is weird. Well, the image is weird. 32 gig DDR5 with a 1 terabyte SSD, Wi-Fi 6, LAN, 2.5 gigahertz LAN. Okay. Gigabit, sorry, not gigahertz. Yeah, that is not the same machine, the image that's shown. Sorry. Yeah, it's a little B-Link. It's a little B-Link machine that I linked in the chat. It's a little Ryzen mini PC that it's running on. So right now this is going to run SQL Server, Kafka, RabbitMQ, all the services. We'll see how it goes. And it's somewhat cheap. I got me a few from B-Link some time ago using one of them as Pi holder. Yeah. I've got an older one, a 5700H, I think. Must not contain dots. Are you serious? Yeah, like, oh, you didn't this name doesn't exist. Oh, but it contains dots. Let's just try and see. I've had mixed results when I've got a broken configuration of just doing Pulumi up and getting the changes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, mainly because I think it's when it's applying the changes. You know, what changed determines whether it'll work or not. So sometimes it's just safer to just do Pulumi down again. But Apex, good morning. How you doing? Yes, I have done this 635 times. Trial and error. Okay, so workloads, pods. That failed. I saw it fail. Invalid cluster ID. Expected but read. So it did read that one. So why did that? Where does it pull the expected from then? meta.properties being static does not. Let's have a look. ls. Yeah, because that doesn't change. So the idea there was that if I retain control of meta.properties, then Kafka will start up and that's the cluster ID I'll use, but it's not looking for that. It's getting a cluster ID somewhere else. I don't want it to. Invalid cluster ID in expected. I believe it is a see here again. I had the same issue when using Docker. This issue occurs since Kafka 2.4 because a check was added. This is from 2020. This can be fixed by making the zookeeper data persistent and not only the zookeeper logs. I don't want to. I don't want to go. I don't want to go changing the cluster ID every time I have to restart. Right. Yes. I mean, I can test that, right? I can test that by doing cd dot cd data ls rm sudo rm meta.properties. Right. So now when this fails again, when it rebuilds, it should actually recreate itself. Although now, because I'm pulling, that failed again because it copied the meta.properties in there. It's just empty. Huh. Well, that's how to get the file. It's not the right thing to do, but it's how to get the file. So let's remove all that. It's absolutely. Do I want to remove it just in case I need it? That's what gets me in trouble. Glue me down. So, sorry for the mic bump there. Again, I'm invalid ID, embed properties, on restart, Kubernetes. It's not. Zookeeper doesn't have as much sway as it used to do. I believe I still need the Zookeeper, but the Zookeeper doesn't seem to store the cluster ID. Unless it does, and that's the problem. Maybe I'm not storing the Zookeeper configuration properly. Config Zookeeper properties. That's from 2019 though. So watch, I'll show this. So if I go into CD configuration, sudo rm, that's rf star data Zookeeper CD configuration. Sudo rm rf star. Did I keep secrets in? Did I get to this point last night where I had secrets? Logs and data. Log storage, etc Zookeeper. Log storage is. I think that needs to be bigger either way. I think what I'm considering data and logs there are probably two different things. Oh, this mat. Zookeeper logs. Right, so so I have learned that I do need to do something to the permissions at least the first time I create everything. But that's not a problem. Okay, so with that all removed, basically now I should be able to start this up and have a working Kafka instance that's not restarting itself. What I need to do is identify where that cluster ID comes from and make sure I'm capturing that directory so that I retain that between restarts. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I'm not retaining the directory that in either the Zookeeper or the broker that I actually need to keep. And that configuration is getting lost, but I'm keeping part of the configuration. So when it starts up, it disagrees with the ID. That is my thinking right now. As always, if you are new to the stream, you have any questions about what I'm doing, why I'm doing what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to ask. I was hoping that today would all be about testing and a bit more development, but I really, really want to figure this out. As boring as it can be, I think this is what it takes to do this, right? Okay, so I have a running broker, no restarts. Everything's running fine. So let's go and find the meta. So go here, cd data ls cat meta.properties. There's our cluster ID generated. I'm gonna actually just store that in here for now anyway, just so I've got the ID as well. Let's go to the Zookeeper, cd configuration ls, nothing in there, data ls, cd data, cd log, nothing in Zookeeper. So there's nothing that we're storing in the mapped directories so far. So if we go over to the Zookeeper here and it on there. Does this generate that cluster ID? Is the question. If it does, then does it store the cluster ID, and do I need to retain a directory? Zookeeper data version 2 snapshot. I didn't see that this time. ls cd etc. So there's the secrets folder that we saw before. cd var cd. So what do I think I'm meant to be storing? Zookeeper var lib zookeeper data. Hold on. Okay, that isn't being retained, so let's just cd data ls cd data ls. So that's not being written there. So let's make that path. Data storage is there. Zookeeper data storage should go there to Zookeeper. Let's just do pulling down. Now this will fail again. No. Not that I've seen so far. This will fail again unless I now go and delete all the Docker, the data. Rm sudo rm -rf star. I'll do this on the wrong directory at some point. Sudo rm -rf star. So either I've got to elevate the process that creates all this stuff somehow, or I just have to go in here and set it the first time it creates everything, every child directory, because it doesn't inherit those permissions. Or maybe there's a way of making it inherit whatever the permissions of the parent are, but it doesn't work unless I have read, write, execute on there. Okay, so Pulumi up -y. Let's make sure that's Zookeeper. Actually, I'm going to do broker config. Once this storage is configured here, the other directories don't matter because it's how it maps to this storage. So this is where it will get stored on the local machine, on the host machine rather, whereas the others are from their instance to the local storage. I'm not expecting this to fix anything. I just want it to create the right structure. And then I'll restart it again if need be. But I need to figure out where that cluster ID is coming from, because that cluster ID is, I want to retain it. So whether it's the Zookeeper configuration or whether it's the broker configuration and I'm missing a directory, I just need to make sure that's being retained. Okay, so everything started up fine. That's good. Oh, you did not start fine. Why did you not start fine? Ah, so this did not start fine because it can't write to the directory. That's what I was just saying, right? So sudo chmod minus R777 broker rm minus rf configuration sudo rm minus rf data cd zookeeper ls cd data. Yeah, see here log sudo chmod minus R777 zookeeper. What are you complaining about now? Find directory config is not in the form of topic. Find directory. Interesting. Didn't all I changed there? I thought all I changed there was that to become configuration. Did I make that? Thought that's all I changed. So I suppose while I'm waiting for that, I could be doing where does Kafka store the cluster ID? It's going to be in a meta file or a properties file. Zookeeper has a hierarchical, gives the list of active brokers, gives a list of topics. Offsets are kept in Kafka, not in Zookeeper in this topic. Yeah. That's not what I'm asking though. Big server properties. It's not in the Kafka logs directory at all. So hold on. That seems to be the answer. Is to rename that. So if I restart the cluster, I have to change the configuration. That doesn't seem like a really wildly acceptable answer. I don't want to change that. Okay. That's erroring again. Not writable. LS. CD broker, LS. Yep, there we go. That's the problem. sudo chmod 777 minus r configuration. That restarted then. Nope. That failed again. Now the cluster ID is a problem. Oh dear. ls sudo. Let's do this. Blew me down. Kubernetes running as its own user can add that user to your group. I honestly can't remember how I configured Kubernetes at this point. It's been that long since I configured Kubernetes. Because technically this is being created by me, isn't it? Kubernetes is running as me, isn't it? But it's just lacking right all the time. I didn't create that directory. I didn't create those files. Yeah, they've been created by me. So I need it to, when it creates the files, have read write at the very least and everything. And it's just getting read write as root, and it's not running as root, it's running as me. So, yeah, more stuff to learn. Make the configuration. Make. It's like one thing creates another thing to have to go and fix, creates another thing that have to go and fix, and do I spend time learning? I believe this is going to be how do I find that out? This will be Ubuntu, not me. It's just my go-to because it's easier for me to use. Yeah, Ubuntu 24. Okay, let's do this. Did you all start? You're failing. Why are you failing? Found directory. What does that even mean now? Broker. Okay, you just go away for now. You just go away for now. etc Kafka. Configuration storage. Configuration is broker storage. Broker mount broker mount Kafka broker. Mount Kafka broker configuration. Is this a problem with... Is this more of a problem with this versus this? So the cluster ID is definitely in the broker though, because I didn't wipe out the Zookeeper stuff last time. So let's just ls cd broker ls rm minus rf sudo rf star make the configuration, make the data sudo chmod r777 star. Okay. Okay, so if we do Pulumi up dash y now, yeah, so we've got add. See what happens. My thought there is that the path being in part of the same directory is actually expecting there to be files there. So by splitting them out, it would make sure that they're in the right structure. Okay, that's done. Let's see how right I was or wrong. Nope, did that restart then, or did that work? That's AKHQ, not. Okay, that's working. Okay. So yeah, I think it is. You can't have that directory underneath. Otherwise it will, yeah. So I didn't wipe out any Zookeeper stuff there. I didn't change any Zookeeper stuff there. So it's definitely in the broker configuration that the challenge, the problem is. But we've seen that, this file is, we can't maintain this file, right? But we need this cluster ID to be consistent between restarts. If we restart now, this file's still there. Can we ignore that file? Can we make that file just empty and have it regenerate? Maybe that's the way we do that. So basically we save that, right? And we go back to here. We uncomment this piece. We put a storage volume back here again. Name meta hyphen properties, because you can't have periods there. Config map name, config map meta.name. Was that enough? Did we determine that was enough before? And needs a config map. And that's meta properties. It's not a subpath at all. And then we create a volume mount for it. So my thought here is if I recreate it, right, How has it been 40 minutes already? If I recreate the file every time as blank, then Kafka will write to it. Meta properties, mount path, var lib, Kafka, data, meta.properties, subpath. Let's test that. So if we wipe that out every time, does that try Pulumi down dash y? There's probably a cleaner way of doing that. There's probably we can probably just run an argument to delete that file on restart. Maybe that's the right way. A lot of this is doing enough to understand when someone says you're doing it wrong, to understand why I did it that way and how it's done a different way, and learn from that and grow from that. As long as it works, that's good enough. As long as I understand what I'm doing, that's more important, rather than worrying too much about it being perfect. Yeah, if you are new to the stream, it might seem kind of dull, me playing around with bringing Pulumi up and down, up and down, up and down all the time. But you're more than welcome to ask any questions. You're more than welcome to chat about what I'm doing. I will show it as soon as I can. I gotta go. Office time. Tunicus, thank you very much for coming hanging out. Appreciate it. Good to see you as always. Have a great day. Okay. Okay, that's that. Oh, it failed. Oh, it didn't fail for the same error while writing to properties. Device or resource busy. Ah, let's try something. Like configuration change happens. What I'm hoping is that it'll wipe the file out and then it'll allow it to restart. I suppose it all depends on when that gets created. And also, have I even proven that just deleting that file will recreate it? And that's it. This is a big world to play in. How much as a developer do I want to spend time learning more about Kubernetes and deployment? Now, it gives me more options. It gives me infinitely more options to play with things, to experiment with technologies, to scale out technologies. But does that come at a cost, right? Do I have the time to play with these things? Do I have Okay, that's still failing. That's failing now because failed to create. Okay, so Stranhorn, how you doing? So that's not a good way to do this. Any idea how I might remove a file from a directory before the container starts up from a volume mount? I'm going to get rid of all that. It's just a mess. Um, I'm trying to get Kafka to survive restart. And basically what Kafka does is it seems to write its cluster ID into this file on startup. But then when it shuts down and starts up again, it uses that file and its cluster ID doesn't match. So my thought was if I can remove that file on restart, then it'll just recreate the cluster ID every time. So actually, let's verify that. RM meta.properties. Yep, that worked. That brought it right back to life. I'm wondering if I can delete a file before it actually gets to starting up. So I was just trying to mount the file, and I was trying to mount it as empty. It did look like this, but it doesn't. It conflicts. It's like it generates the ID when it starts up. Init container to delete the file. You mean like I do the topics? Build a job to start the, or can I actually do a command that runs before the init? So as far as I can tell, I can't control the cluster ID. It generates it randomly on startup. But if that file exists, it does not like it. And I can't find anyone saying delete meta properties. The weird thing is that would have to happen for every broker. So what's the cluster ID then? Yeah. Because these people are saying that they can use different options. But they're saying they're thinking it exists in different directories. It doesn't. Just delete run Zookeeper. I don't want to. I want to retain the queues between restarts. Yeah, edit meta. This seems to be an answer. Edit the meta properties and remove the line with cluster ID and restart Kafka. Possible. Actually, one more second before I try that. Let me just try. Let's put that back. That's that. Read only false. That's that. Actually, let's do that. Pulling it up, that's why. So we copy the file out, but we don't have the cluster ID in it. Will it write the cluster ID to it? That's essentially the same as removing the line. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to retain Kafka storage properly between restarts so that I don't lose the topics and all the things start correctly. And that way the cluster is retained. Okay. Nope, error. Error while writing metadata properties to varlib device or resource busy. So I'm not releasing it. Can I defaults to false? Can I make it so I can create the file and let it have access to it? Is that possible? So I'm storing it in a config map and then copying the file in. Trying to mount in a mount. Okay. Any thoughts? Init container will be easier. Just mount the whole data folder and clean up or delete the meta properties. Hey, Canny. Init container. So you mean, so when you say init container, do you mean like this, where I'm building a container specifically for doing that? So I create a container like this, put it in the broker, like that, and then remove that and that. And I also need that directory mounted in here. Volume mounts. Oh, but that's not. No, I can't do that. That's a completely different container. Oh, but I get the point. Because then I can just do RM that. Because it's the same data directory. Yeah, I don't need. I can use what's it called? I'm using Kafka there because I need the Kafka tools, but What's the one? Something box. You say init. Do you mean this when I say init, when you say init containers, or do you mean something a completely different concept? Init containers. BusyBox. That's the one. Oh, it is actually. Oh, sorry. It is actually a completely different thing, isn't it? Init containers. There we go. BusyBox latest. Mounts that, does that. So I might actually be able to do. But this runs before. Init containers. Okay. But this runs. Let's try. What's the worst that happens? Pulling me up. That's why. They're running done like pre-jobs. Right. So the other one I need when I'm running another container or this one, I'm trying to run this to try and create the topics. That's because I need this to run post. Is there a concept of post? It doesn't look like it. That's ignored me there. Okay. Pulling me down. So if this restarts again and works fine without error, then that's working. It doesn't list the. I suppose it's part of the stateful set, isn't it? So it doesn't list it specifically. But if this works consistently, it's doing the right thing. It's removing that. Now I just need to make sure it's retaining the topics. Because that's why I'm trying to do this. So I can just bring the system down and bring the system up. I've got console configured. That's working now, whereas it previously wasn't. And the goal is to very much get that so it restarts properly. Oh, should be able to see any containers in it. Okay. Yeah, sure. It'll show in there somewhere. Okay, here's a test. So I didn't clean anything up there. I just restarted. This has been a point of failure up until now, because basically that meta file is not getting cleaned up, so it's not re-establishing the cluster ID. I don't mind. I don't really think I need to worry about the cluster ID. I don't need to worry about setting the cluster ID at this point. I just need to get to the point where when I stop and start this, the topics are not lost. Otherwise, everything just breaks. Okay. That's working. Yep, that's working. Nice. Broker. Containers. Init containers. There you go. Okay. Busy bots. Remove. Okay, nice. So init containers run before a pod can have multiple containers running apps within it, but it can also have one or more init containers which have run before the app containers are started. Init containers always run to completion. Each init container must complete successfully before the next one starts. If a pod's init container fails, the kubelet repeatedly restarts that init container until it succeeds. However, if the pod has a restart policy of never and an init container fails during the startup, Kubernetes treats the overall pod as failed. Okay, so you can make it quite resilient. Thank you very much for that. Again, learning the concepts. Okay, so that means I can survive that. Yay. Now we need to validate, where are you? This one. So now localhost 8089. Okay, so this one now needs topics, right? So this is up and running. However, there's no topics created. So that's what the purpose of this one was. So did I comment this out? Storage. I did. I removed it. So the idea of this one was that I could initialize. That's an interesting challenge. It shouldn't have storage. It depends on the other brokers being started, but it doesn't really matter. It's in the name, in the same network, so it should be able to communicate over the local machine. Let's see if we can get this back in there. Broker, enable, then const topics equals configure topics. This configure topics, build, namespace, network. Configure topics, brokers, stateful set. As okay. This failed previously. So the idea of this one is this would run and execute the topics and then just end. Ephemeral containers. Nope, that's not what I want. It's not sidecar, is it? No. Why do they use it? Why do you use that as init containers then? Well, it's confusing. That didn't fail. Didn't do anything, but it didn't fail. But well, your mother called you and you're teaching her to texture paint in Blender. Been watching your streams. You are now a Blender expert. So your avatar normally looks kind of bubbly, but as you've been working with the Tentic, the otter, when you've mapped that one, it just looks very sad because you're looking down at the keyboard or you're looking down, and it just looks very sad all the time. It's enough that my mother can paint on video. My mother was not technologically inclined, so she would never have asked me to do that. So that ran, but it didn't do anything of meaning. So let's have a look. So this one, and again, Ms. Ranhorn, if you have any ideas on how you would approach this one. So what I want to do is I want to basically run these items to create these topics. So my initial goal was to try and pull this like this, but yeah. Toxin, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome in. Oh, you bang your head, bud. You okay? Canny, thank you for the 30 bits from the Gigantify emote. Forget they exist now. I don't believe so. So I'm using a Kafka broker. And basically what I want to do is when the broker's up and running, I want to generate the topics. This does work in my current setup in that I create another init Kafka that depends on the Zookeeper and broker being up and running, and I run this script. This does create the topics in the existing one. That being said, I need to have a look at my naming. But let's see. So Pulumi down. That's why let's bring everything down. Let's see if everything comes back up. Yeah, jobs seem to be the way, but we'll see. Okay. Hello, little dog. You know, as I move forward, just the education on how to do these things, how these things work, how, you know, what my options are, you know, just ever expanding. It's not going to get perfect, but I'll just keep trying. But if I can do this, and the system can come down and go up and come down and go up and keep the topics and keep the storage. It's already keeping the SQL storage. I seem to have got console working earlier on, so the services should all start up properly. If that's functional, then I can bring the system up and bring the system down. And as people start testing it, I don't have to worry about shutting it down. That's my fear. If I say, "Hey, you can test it now," and then I wipe everything out, and everyone has to start over again, it's going to get very boring very quickly because you're going to have to recreate data if you want to test things. Blew me up F. Okay, cool. Well, the amount of script issues I've been creating, it's not always been a bad thing to have the validate. Okay, so what I'm hoping to see here is that Kafka comes up still with the broker and it doesn't conflict. The init job runs. Okay, that completed. Ah, could not be established. Broker service. So it can't. Well, broker was up. Yeah, broker's up and running. Network. Kafka broker service. 29092, 9092, and 9101. So when you're in the same namespace, in the same service, I should be able to use 29092. It's only when I'm external to it should I need to use 9092. So I'm in the same network, which we needed to introduce because of the zookeeper and broker being in the same grouping. So they are in the network, Kafka network true. Kafka network true, and this should be in the Kafka network. Yeah. So I think that's the problem. The deployment. I don't know if if I delete that, will it recreate the job? I don't think it would it? No, because it's a job. It's not meant to restart. There's no deployment. So this is meant to kind of wait for the broker to be available. This is correct. I shouldn't have to use the namespace because I'm using the some brokers stateful set. Oh, hold on. No, I need the broker service, don't I? I don't care about the brokers themselves. I care about the service being ready. KS core v1.service. I care about them, not the. Does that do the same thing? Yes. Okay. This is frustrating because I feel like I'm so close. So if the deployment was ready, the stateful set was ready, but the network wasn't, then that's going to not work. And again, they're in the network, so I should be able to use the same name to communicate the same way I do it here. And it communicates over, when it's on the local network, it's 29092. When it's external, it's 9092. So the host name is set up that way. Let me just validate that. So yeah, broker service metadata name, and then this is ls Kafka service close to local net. That's the 9092 version. So the plain text listener local. Hello, Loki. It's been a while since you came up and said hello. Yeah, hello. Hello, my friend. Hello. You busy? Hello, bud. Yeah, hello, bud. Loki. Ow. No. Yeah, wreck the headphones. Well, you've eaten one of the. Uh, I must go for work. What adorable doggo. Thank you. This is Loki. Have a great day at work, Apex. Yeah, they've eaten one of the foam pieces off the end. They eat everything. Take care. I want to finish this. I'll be right back. I need to let them out. I'll be right back. Okay. Let's see if this was any better. I just did the preview again, didn't I? That's force of a habit at this point. So, if this functions, when it starts up, it'll create all the topics, right? If when it starts up in the future, it won't. If the topics are already there, it'll be fine. But it'll create the topics the first time. When I bring it down and bring it back up again, the topic should remain, and the value, the data in them should stay there. That means that if I bring the system down for maintenance, or I bring it down because I don't want it accessible 24/7, I can trust that I don't lose anything. So as I ask people to test it, you can work in it and not have to yeah. Okay, what did that do? Let's see. That's the AKHQ. So that's this. Nope. It did not create a single thing. See, Kafka broker service 29092. AKHQ is communicating over that. But that job did not do what I would hope it would have done. Deployments, pods, init job. It didn't log anything either. That's annoying. It just logged the time and that was it. I'm not trying to join this. This is a broker instance. I'm not trying to join it into the cluster though. I'm just trying to use this to run the command. So it sets the bootstrap server. This is a command that runs in the Kafka broker. Loki, no, buddy, you gotta sit down. You gotta sit down, Muffin. You good boy. You good boy. Did you go outside? Did you do bathroom? Is that what you want? You want a reward? There you go. Good boy. You know, if you chew instead of just swallowing the cookie, it lasts longer. Okay. So I'm not sure what to do with this. Restart policy never. Yeah. I mean, that's not going to help me in this case. I mean, is it the end of the world if I don't do this? No. So what I'm about to try is, if this doesn't work now, and again, this is so that I can bring the system up from scratch and not have to worry about doing anything manually. But if that didn't run again, did it? No. So hold on. That ran again, but it didn't do anything. Right? It didn't log anything. Yeah, it just logged that it ran. So here's what I'll do. I'm not going to worry about that one specifically right now. Right. What we'll do is we will go into, and again, all I'm trying to do is avoid this part that I'm about to do manually. We go in here. So we're on the broker, right? If we now go into this topics and run all these, okay. Now we go over to here. I'm restarting that connection because I've restarted things and I don't want to lose. I don't want to just mess around with that. See, now the topics are there. Now, if we do Pulumi down dash Y, and again, I can do the force again if I'm being genius. What I need / want to happen is when I bring this back up, those topics are still there. If they're not there, then I've still got some more work to do to figure out why topics don't get retained between restarts. But I think they should. And that's probably because that port's forwarded. So not missing anything. Okay, so we've got nothing up there. So now let's bring it all up again. -F, okay. And what I hope to see is when I refresh, this list is still there and everything's good, and it's not empty again and initialized again, because that means I'm missing another piece of the configuration, and I got to figure out where that goes and blah blah blah. If this is all there still, then that means this is going to survive a restart. I'm retaining the data, and that's a good step forward, because then I can bring everything else up, start testing it, and be able to bring it down and maintain things and clean things up. You can also learn about backups here. What's the matter, Muffin? Can I get any more cookies? No. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's bring that up again. And here's the test. Is it empty? It's empty. So I'm missing something else. Nipam, good morning. Is that your sister nicking something again? Okay. Anyway. I lost a shoe yesterday to a little dog that wanted to chew things, didn't I? You're a menace. You're a menace. Yes, I know. You're a menace. Yeah. Um. So Good news. The broker is starting up. Loki and Taylor that time. Loki's beside me here. Um, yes, Taylor thought it hilarious to be running around the backyard with my shoe in her mouth, chewing it, and I could not catch her. So, yes, she thinks it's hilarious. Okay, so the broker is surviving restarts. We can bring the service up. We can bring everything back down again. That's okay. However, topics, I don't know, where are topics configured then? CD, that's what I say, CD slash bin etc Kafka ls. Loki, no, 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 no. We're not doing this. Hello, 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 friend. Come here, come here. You say hello. You want to say hello? Not to me. You're a good boy. He likes eating tissues. Taylor likes stealing stuff. Did I mention before that the other week I found a can of SpaghettiOs, a big can, the large can of SpaghettiOs in the backyard because Taylor had pulled it off the side of a cabinet and taken it outside. Yeah, his sister's a menace. She's a thief. She's a little magpie dog, and you like tissues. Yeah. Can I please? I really want to figure this out. If we can figure out where topics are stored, then the chances are that I'm just missing that directory. Logged temp Kafka log. It's not temp. It is not temp. CD etc Kafka ls cat Kafka dot properties. Do I see any paths there? I do not see any paths here. This is all TCP stuff. ls cd dot dot ls. Nobody. Loki, you're okay, bud. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to find. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for where the directory is because it stores them all as a directory structure. I know that. I'm gonna find that directory, make sure that's backed up, see if it will survive a restart. Once it does that, then things are working. Even if I run these script manually, if I'm bringing the cluster up from complete scratch, I've lost all the data anyway. Then it is this. But if I can retain the data between restarts, then people can start tinkering with the application and testing. Again, I'm only going to open it up to subs to begin with. So if you're a subscriber to the channel, you're able to join the Discord and provide feedback. I've got a topic in there saying, if you are subscribed, then when we get set up, you're basically going to need to tell me the email that you sign up with. So I can then go and enable the permissions on that one and keep an eye on that and then watch feedback. But once it's gone through a few phases of testing with subs, and again, subs, it's just a reward to those people that are kindly supporting the stream. Once it's gone through a few phases of that and things are a little bit more stable and we've got some more development done, then we'll shift to more open testing. But that will not be today, sadly. So hopefully back tomorrow for actual more development. Back onto the actual development track, I suppose. So in the meantime, I'm going to raid you over to Maybe. Maybe he's kind of my favorite streamer to raid recently because he's doing dev content. He's doing you're tickling air there. I just did because his head disappears. Maybe there's a variety of stuff. He does play some horror games and stuff on stream. His stream is for more mature audience, but he does do React dev, and it's good to raid into devs doing web and stuff like that. So I will. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining me. Again, if you're interested, you can join the Discord in the cards below, and I'll see you again soon. Take care, all. Bye.